curls, right? They are showing off today. I think they're gonna be like the spotlight of the video because, like, who wants to see Jeannie when you can see her curls, right? Hey, what's up, guys? Jeannie here, and welcome back to my channel, Journey Through Pages. Today's video is going to be about the 21 books I plan to read in 2021. This sounds so weird to me. In 2021. In 2021. Oh, that sounds even worse. No. We gonna just remove that from the video because that was horrible. So the point of today's video is basically to share the 21 books I plan to read this year. The way I went about picking out these books is because they've been sitting on my shelf forever, okay? Let's just be real. Let's just be straightforward. Let's just be honest here, okay? A lot of these books were sitting on my shelf waiting ever so patiently for me to pick them up. Don't get me wrong, I do have some newer books that I'm excited to read, and I was like, hey, 21 books, that's enough, right? That's enough books for me to pick up and try to read this year. Guys, don't get it twisted. It was hard picking 21 books, okay? It was tough. I'm here thinking, okay, it's 21 books. 21 books, that should be easy enough. I know there are 21 books that I really want to read. And then when it came time to make this 21 books list, I was like, okay, like everything went out the window. It said goodbye, exit stage left. I so was gonna point to my right. It was tough to try to pick out like what books I really want to read this year. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. Oh, and let me put this out there. First of all, let's put this out there. I am not going in no particular order, okay? There's no favoritisms here, even though for some books there is a little favoritism. Hence the shelf. So one of the books I plan to read in 2021 is Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Melissa Basher-Dowse. I'm sure that you have not seen this book in a while because it's been out for a while. And this book, I have had it sitting on my shelf in forever. In this story, we are following 16-year-old Mina, who happens to be motherless and has a vicious magician of a dad. So Mina has never known love. She never loved anyone. And she actually thought this was pretty normal. But then what happens is that she finds out that her dad actually put a glass heart. He replaced her heart with a glass heart. Like, how messed up is that? Mina formulates like this plan. Her plan is to win the king's heart, become the queen, and finally know love. The thing is that Mina has to now become a stepmom because the king has a daughter, Lynette. What's crazy is that Lynette always wondered, like, she looked like her mom, the late queen. And the reason why is because a magician actually created her out of snow, which to me is so crazy. And this was at her father's request. So Lynette would rather be as fierce and regal as her stepmother is. Her father grants her wish of taking over a territory. Now the problem with that is that this is what Mina wanted. The bond and the relationship that they both form is done for, right? Because now Mina's feeling some way about things. So Lynette is basically trying to win back the mother, the only mother that she basically knows. So the problem with that is that only one can win. It's either, win or lose it all. This book sounds like so interesting, and I cannot wait to dive into this world because it just sounds so good. Another book I plan to read in 2021 is The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi? Roshani Chokshi. There we go. So this book follows Maya, who is cursed. Her father arranges this marriage all for political convenience. We know that most of the time that's what they do. But she would actually prefer a more scholarly life. She's not really about that political life, right? Maya becomes queen of Akron and she marries Amar. So when she becomes queen, she actually finds her voice and discovers herself in a different way and in a different light. However, Akron has so many secrets. She doesn't know who she can trust and who she can believe. So now Maya must unravel all these secrets and mysteries in order to save the people that she loves and including herself. This sounds very good. Another book I would love to read in 2021 is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So this one has been on my TBR in like forever. I am super excited about finally trying to get to it. I'm really making it a point to get to these books that I have on my 2021 list. So this circus is not your average normal circus. There is actually a fierce competition going on. Two illusionists that are competing against each other who have actually been training for this since childhood. It follows Celia and Marco. Now, the only thing is, as we all know, when there is a competition, only one can be left standing. Celia starts realizing that Marco is actually her adversary, and they form like this whole alliance and trying to collaborate as opposed to going against each other. This sounds so interesting, so magical, and I cannot wait to dive into this world. Next book on my list is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. In this story, we are following Libby Jones, who just so happens not to really know much about herself. And on her 25th birthday, she returns home and she is finally able to open up a letter that will let her know what her identity really is. So then Libby basically discovers who her real parents are and that she is a sole inheritor of a mansion. The thing is that there are secrets that lies behind this home. There is also something that happened here 25 years ago. There was basically a reporting that a baby was crying. However, there was 3 dead bodies found. So how does that happen? Who knows? But I am super excited to find out where this story goes. Another book I would love to read this year is Queenie by Candace Carty Williams. This is another one that I'm super excited to read because I've seen it all throughout Bookstagram community and so many people said it was amazing. So this story follows Queenie, who happens to be a journalist and has so much going on in her life. So her boyfriend kicks her out. Her Jamaican British family, they don't really care to hear her. As a journalist, her boss doesn't even really notice her. And though her best friend tries to help her, she meets these men online who treat her like crap. Okay, they treat her like crap, but yet she just continues to see them. She's trying to find herself, you know, just like most of us do in life, right? I am super excited about getting into this and like reading this finally because this sounds like it's going to be thought-provoking. I'm going to be relating to it a lot and questioning even probably myself, right? So the next book on my list of books to read in 2021 is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This one I was planning on reading in 2020, but I never got around to it. I remember I started a few pages. Yeah, look at right here. I have a little a little post-it holding up my place. So this story follows Stella and Desiree, who are twins, and they just so happen to be like, they were inseparable when they were children, as most twins are, right? As they get older, they choose to live 2 separate lives, one in a Black community and the other one in a white community. And now the question is, what will happen once their daughters' lives kind of like intersect? So what I really think I'm going to enjoy from this story is not only the fact that it's multi-generational, but it also touches on important topics such as gender, race, and identity. I look forward to diving into this soon. Next book on my list is The Death of Vivek OG, and it's by Akwake Imezi. Now, this story I know is going to hit me deep here because of the simple fact that I am a mother, and in this one, we are following a story on a mother who loses her child. So, this story follows a family who is struggling to understand their child. So, Vivek experiences blackouts where he doesn't know where he's at, or like, he can't make any connections between the world around him. He is raised by his mother, who is very overprotective of him. I mean, is that such a bad thing? I don't think so. But that's just my motherly views of things. Vivek's mother finds him dead on her porch. The premise of the book, finding out who Vivek really is, what happened, and who killed him. This story, it just seems like it's going to be heart-wrenching, and is going to touch on so many subjects and important topics like family and compassion and love. So this one sounds like something I'm going to be so invested and interested in, and I cannot wait to get to it. Next book on my list is The Silent Patient by Alec Michael Leedy. So this one is another one that I am excited to read, even though I'm sure it's going to be pretty scary to read as well. I hear that it's pretty twisted and thought-provoking, and I am here for it. So this story follows Alicia, who is a pretty famous painter and a high-demand fashion photographer. One day when her husband comes home, she just shoots him, not once, but 5 times in the face, and then she never speaks again. So you could only imagine that by her not speaking, it turns this story into like this whole mystery, and like wondering why did she do this? Why did she decide to kill her husband? And in such a brutal way. Her refusal to talk is basically sparking up some, kind of like intrigue to the public eye. So now a criminal psychotherapist takes on her case and is very intrigued and interested in her story. And he wants to figure out the whole mystery behind why she killed her husband. However, what happens is that then this leads him basically down a rabbit hole of like all these shocking discoveries that basically leads him down a path that is like going to consume him. And yes, I am here for it. We love to see it, and I cannot wait to read this. Next book I am planning on reading is... Whoops! I hope the book was not hurt. No, she's fine. The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Septis. This one is definitely on my list too, because I am looking to read more historical fiction, especially ones that is actually like based on some kind of facts and historical moments in our history. Well, not like our history, but just in history in general. And I want to also learn more about, the lives that these people may have lived during that time. It's going to be hard for me to kind of describe this one, so I'm going to read the synopsis to you. Under the oppressive dictatorship of General Francisco Franco, Spain is hiding a dark secret. Among them is 18-year-old Daniel Matheson, the son of an oil tycoon who arrives in Madrid with his parents, hoping to connect with the country of his mother's birth through the lens of his camera. Photography and fate introduce him to Anna, whose family interweaving obstacles reveal the lingering grasp of the Spanish Civil War. Daniel's photographs leave him with uncomfortable questions amidst shadows of danger. Lives and hearts collide, revealing an incredibly dark side to the sunny Spanish city. So this one sounds very interesting, and I like how it's using photography to kind of like weave, and put this story together. And I look forward to reading it. Next book on my list, and hopefully I don't drop it again trying to catch it to show a nice transition to you guys, is Nine Pals by Leigh Bardugo. This one is a mesmerizing tale of power and dark magic, and it's dark academia. And I am looking so forward to reading this because I pretty much enjoy Leigh Bardugo's books. So in this story, we are following Galaxy Alex Stern, who, by the way, like that name, Galaxy, it just sounds so interesting. I'm already in. So she is a Yale student who happens to drop out of school early and go down the path of with her shady boyfriend, who happens to be a drug dealer. Now, you could only imagine that going down that path only leads to bad, right? So she ends up in being a survivor of a horrific homicide. She got offered to join a prestigious school, basically like to get her life back on track, right? But the thing is that now we are wondering why she was even asked to begin with. So she dives into this world of like forbidden magic where they're like in occults and raising the dead and even sometimes preying on the living. So this sounds very up my alley and I am looking forward to reading it. So another book that I actually read is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. So if you've seen my February wrap-up video, you know that I enjoyed this book and I gave it 4 stars. So this story follows Chloe Brown who is chronically ill, and she's like this computer geek, and she has like a whole list of things she wants to accomplish. Now the thing is that she doesn't have friends because like a lot of the people in her life has left her. So it's not easy for Chloe to do all these things on her list because she's not that type of girl, right? She's not bad. She's not that bad girl. So she ends up making a deal with Red to help her conquer these things on her list. Now, the thing is that Red also happens to be her enemy. So yes, this is an enemies to lovers type romance. I really enjoyed this one and I would recommend it to anyone to read it that loves that kind of trope. The next book on my list is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I don't know why I was going to say Catherine McPhee. I don't know why. So in this one, we are getting like all the winter vibes from it and Russian folklore. It follows Vasya, who loves hearing all these fairy tales and folk tales. And the one she specifically loves is the story of Frost, the blue-eyed winter demon. The Russians fear him and they steer clear of anything that has to associate with that. Vasya's dad basically comes home with a new wife, and Vasya's stepmother is basically like trying to change everything about their home and where they live. So this causes the village to weaken and a whole lot of like evil to start seeping in and taking over. So now Vasya, because of all those things going on in her village, she has to dig deep and use some abilities that she was concealing for years. But to protect her family, she is willing to go to that extent. And this one is one that it's been on my it's been on my TBR last year and I didn't get to read it, and now I'm going to make sure that I read this one this year. Next book, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hong. This one is one that I hear a lot of people talking very highly of, and it's a romance, and we are following Stella. So Stella is very much into her job. She makes great money. The only thing is she is not into dating. She's not about that life. And the thing is too that Stella also has Asperger's. So she views dating and like kissing and anything that involves that as like something totally different than what we would. And she decides that she needs a lot of practice in this, especially like kissing and stuff like that. So she decides to hire an escort to help her in that department, which happens to be Michael Fan, who just so happens to even look like he looks dreamy. He looks like a K-pop star, which in my opinion is not a bad thing. Michael is supposed to help her with everything under the sun when it comes to dating. Now, the thing is that now Stella is feeling all these feelings for Michael, who happens to be the escort who is helping her with dealing with these things. Well, not dealing with them, but learning about them. We can see that a nice little romance is going to spark from that, and Stella figuring out what she feels. And this one sounds so much fun, and I really appreciate the fact that there's a disability displayed here, and I look forward to getting into this one. Next book on my list is Dominicana by Angie Cruz. And this one is by a Latinx author, and I am looking forward to reading a lot of books by Latinx authors. That is one of my goals for this year. I have a lot of other ones on my list as well. But this one was just one that I decided to pick up because it sounds very interesting. And here is what it's about. So in this story, we are following 15-year-old Anna, who never dreamed she would come to America. But then Juan Ruiz proposes and promises to bring her to New York City, which in turn that brings a whole lot of promise to Anna and her family. When Anna decides to actually go through with marrying Juan, she is brought into like this whole different world that she's not used to. She's confined to an apartment and just isn't about the city life. And she's actually pretty miserable, so she plans to escape from Juan. But Juan's brother convinces her to stay. So the Dominican Republic goes through like this whole political turmoil, and Juan has to go over, and he decides to leave Anna under his brother's hands. So she's basically living a life that she didn't know, because she was so miserable while Juan was there. So while he's not there, she's just taking full-blown advantage of everything that America has to bring. Now, the thing is that when he comes back, now she has to decide whether she wants to continue doing what she loves and what her heart wants, or if she's going to be that person that she used to be under Juan. So this one sounds like a very thought-provoking story about, like womanhood and citizenship and seeing, like a different perspective of immigrant life. So this one is very interesting, and I can't wait to get into it. On to the next one. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. It's crazy because I actually met Adam Silvera at a book signing, and it was my first one, and I was pretty excited, even though I have not read any of his books yet to date. And he was totally cool with that. What was cool about my whole experience with him is that when I told him my name, he gave me a new name, and he named me Jeannie from the block. Because I told him, yeah, I'm Jeannie and I'm from the Bronx. So he automatically associated with Jenny, J-Lo, and Jenny from the block. So it was pretty cool. And you see, he signed it. And it was just such a fun experience meeting him. So now this one follows the story of Mateo and Rufus, who are living in this world where they both get to find out that they are going to die that day. They are both total strangers that are looking for different reasons to have a new friend on the day that they die. So it's pretty easy for them to find a friend because there happens to be an app for it called The Last Friend. So they end up meeting up, and they go on this super cool adventure and basically try to bottle everything up in one day. So I'm very excited about this story, and I feel like it's going to break my heart. But I am still excited about diving into it soon. Next book is Tiger Lily by Jody Lynn Anderson. And this one is one that also has been sitting on my bookshelf for a while. So basically, this is a retelling of Peter Pan. However, we are seeing the other side of things. How Tiger Lily was, I guess you can say with Peter first before Wendy came into the picture. And in this story, Tiger Lily basically meets Peter and she falls for him. She loves everything about him. The fact that he's a leader, he's brave and impetuous. So Tiger Lily is basically going against everything, that her family is for, just to be with Peter. Then she is faced with marrying somebody within her tribe who happens to be a horrible person. And she must decide whether she's going to live that life or she's going to live the uncertain life with Peter. So now, with all the enemies that are basically trying to tear them apart, they feel that their love can never be. But then Wendy comes in and makes Tiger Lily realize that Wendy is everything that she is not. So then this leads Tiger Lily to see that sometimes enemies are really close by and close to your heart. I can't wait to read this actually because I do enjoy Peter Pan stories. Another book on my list is, and I'm pretty excited for this one too because I've heard so much about it and this author, so let's find out which book that is. Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. In this one, we are following two best friends, Monday and Claudia. They are kind of like inseparable until one day Monday doesn't come to school and Claudia is like super worried about it. But then the thing is that she just doesn't show up to school at all. And what's weird is that nobody seems to notice that Monday is missing except for Claudia. So this basically leads Claudia to start digging pretty deep and finding out what really happened to Monday and why nobody seems to realize that she's gone. So I hear so many great things about this one. This would actually be my first Tiffany D. Jackson book, and I am super excited about it because Mel Reads, I seen one of her videos on it and she speaks very highly of Tiffany D. Jackson. So I know that if she speaks well about it, then I need to dive into this world and see what it is about. Okay, we are almost done. I believe I got 3 more books left to talk to you guys about. So let's hurry up and get to it. Next book on my list is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. And this one is one that I'm actually planning to try to get to this month. I'm hoping I can because if you've seen my March TBR video, then you know it was pretty ambitious. Your girl was just going a little bit crazy on that TBR. But I really want to read this one this month. So let's see. Fingers crossed that I get to it. In this story, we are following Star, who happens to go back and forth between her poor black neighborhood and the prestigious type white neighborhood where she happens to go to school. Then Star witnesses her best friend Khalil getting murdered. And this basically opens up a whole lot of things, right? It brings his reputation down. So now what everybody wants to know is what really happened that night. And the only one who could really answer that is Star. So now Star is faced with this whole choice, right? She has to decide whether she wants to speak out for her friend or whether she wants to just keep it hidden and not really say nothing because she's in danger of her own life being taken. So this one is one I look forward to reading. It has such important topics that is very relevant to our day and age. And I can't wait to read it. It's been recommended to me plenty of times. And this year, I really look forward to getting into it and finally crossing it out. Next book is The Inexplicable. Sorry, I have to look at this title. I don't know why, but I think that if I say it regular, I'm going to get tongue-tied. So yeah. The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Alir Sons. And I am so excited to read this book this year. I cannot wait because I read Aristotle and Dante Discovered the Secrets of the Universe by him. And that is like one of my all-time favorite books. I love that book. I really do. I really enjoy Benjamin Sand's writing style in Aristotle and Dante, and the story. I really loved it, how relatable it was, and I cannot wait to get into this one. So in this one, we are following Sal, who happens to be Mexican and has a gay father, which, yes, I love that is represented in here. But then what happens is that there are so many like life-altering events that take place. So him and his best friend Samantha has to confront issues of faith, grief, and loss. This leads to Sal questioning about himself and like the person that he thought he was, which in turn leads to Sal questioning if he's not who he thought he was, then who is Sal really, right? It sounds so amazing, and it just gives me so many vibes of Aristotle and Dante, the whole discovering yourself and questioning who you are and who you want to be. And I am looking forward to getting to read this one this year. So another book that I would like to get to is The Serpent King by Jeff Settner. And this one has really been on my shelves for years. I think since 2015 or 2016. I never got to read it, obviously, and that's why it's on my list. Oh, and look, you see? My first Owl Crate box is where I got this one from. In this story, we are following Phil, who happens to be the son of a Pentecostal minister and who also deals with being bullied at his school. Dill's only escape is the friendship that he has with his two friends, Travis and Lydia. Dill's only escape is his music and the way he feels for Lydia. Now the thing is that, of course, he's not brave enough to tell Lydia how he truly feels. So when graduation starts coming around, now he feels like everything is coming to an end. And the thing is that there's actually something else that comes to an end, which he has to deal with. So this one sounds pretty good, and I cannot wait to get into it. Okay, so even though there's the last one coming up now, I actually have a last two on my list because I don't know which one to decide from. Maybe I'll do both. Maybe I won't. Who knows? But the last two books on my list is Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews and or My Sweet Audrina by V.C. Andrews. I have spoken about V.C. Andrews being like one of my favorite authors when I was in high school. So I wanted to try to make sure to read her books again this year, because I wanted to see like how I would feel about it. Like, you know, do like this whole thing where it's like, okay, in high school I really loved her books. Now as an adult, would I still love them? So in brief, in this story we are following the Dollenganger family. I think that's how it's pronounced, because it doesn't say it. Because this book is pretty old. There's like so much betrayal and family secrets. Mom abandoning them and leaving them with their grandmother. The mom originally went with the children's father, and the grandmother was against that. She is basically trying to make her mother happy by going out with these rich men. However, she leaves her children with the grandmother, which the grandmother doesn't really care for. She can't stand them, and that leads her to locking them up in the attic. I mean, this story is pretty messed up. I really enjoy V.C. Andrews' books for these same reasons, because it deals with like all these topics and hard things that goes on in family life at times. So I'm really interested in figuring out how I would feel about Flowers in the Attic and V.C. Andrews' books now as an adult. So let's see how that goes. So now for My Sweet Audrina, This one is basically following Audrina, who happens to want to, in a sense, please her father by being as good as her sister is. Now, the thing is with this is that Audrina's sister is actually dead. And she knows that her father is never going to basically like treat her as special as he did her sister. What's crazy is that now Audrina is basically trying to fill her sister's shoes and try to figure out, like what's the secret behind everything and like her sister's gift and why the dad loved her sister. The thing is that everyone seems to know about this secret except for Audrina, so that's what she's trying to discover. So what really draws me into this one is that the fact that it's like so haunting, and it's like this weird kind of parental love or obsession in a sense, but then there's like this whole deceit and betrayal behind it. I think that even though I only said 21 books, I just may have to put an extra, that whole one just for good luck. So I really do look forward to diving back into the VC Andrews world that I loved so much. So finally, that is all over. Those are my 21 books I plan to read this year. I apologize, guys, because again, I am not so great with synopsises. Please, please, please tell me below, how do you think I did, like, with the synopsis? But if you think I did fine, please, please, please let me know, because I be feeling so bad trying to describe these books. Comment down below, like, have you read any of these? Do you plan on reading any of these? Are they on your list to read this year? Let me know which one to start, like, right away, because I don't even know. I'm just going with the flow, because you know me, I'm a mood reader. Well, now you know, because I don't know if you've seen my first video, but I am a mood reader, and this is like something that's like totally planned. However, the good thing is that I got 21 books to choose from. Now, the bad thing is that exactly that I'm a mood reader, so I'm hoping that I do get to all these books, but I am pretty excited for them, so I should. So that concludes this video of my 21 books I plan to read in 2021. Hopefully I get to all of them. As usual, don't forget to subscribe. Support your girl. Support Jeannie from the block. Jeannie from the Bronx. So don't forget to subscribe. Turn on those post notifications so you don't miss a video with moi. So until next video, see you guys. Bye. They have come to show off the beauty that is these curls and the amount of time that it takes to get them to this point. If you a curly girl, you know the struggle, okay? You know the struggle of the curly girl hair life. Like,